You ever find yourself in a difficult time in life and you're begging God to get you out of it? Maybe you're lonely, maybe it's joyless, maybe you're impoverished, maybe you have questions that aren't being answered, or maybe you just want to feel the presence of God and aren't able to do that. A lot of us feel that way in life sometimes, especially those of us that are creatives. A lot of times we'll go through a deep period of a mix of these kinds of things and we'll wonder what it's about. And many times it happens just before we blossom into that thing that we've always hoped that we would become. My friend Noah got me this book for Christmas. It's Joseph Campbell's The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Campbell studied pretty much all the myths of the world and compared them, noticed that they had lots of similarities. And so he writes about what he calls the hero's journey. And I'm just getting into it, but you can see here, chapter 1 of part 1, the very beginning is called Departure, the call to adventure. And that's where the hero's journey begins. We're going to be using the hero's journey as sort of a framework for how we'll be going through scriptures all the way until Easter. And so this week begins Act 2, the wilderness. And we begin it with this scripture, which is Matthew 4, 1 and 2. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. After he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. What does this say about God as creator? This is a tough one for us to hear, but it says that sometimes God is the one that leads us into the wilderness. What does this say about human creativity? Well, it's interesting that at the end of chapter 3, which is what we read yesterday, how Jesus is defined. Behold, the Lamb that takes away the sins of the world, and he is my Son in whom I am well pleased. And how is Jesus defined here in verse 2 of chapter 4? It says he was hungry. What this says about human creativity is when we are deprived of something, sometimes we become consumed with that, and that is the only thing that we can see in life. What obedience is God inviting me to? I've been going through a wilderness period for a number of years now, and it's been very difficult at some points. I think I'm coming out of it now, but I'm afraid I will leave this time without fully understanding it, without fully understanding why, without fully understanding what the purpose of it was. So tomorrow I'll spend some prayer time talking with God about this and seeing what have I learned? How have I grown? And rather than my prayer being totally about what I want to have happen in the future, I will thank God for the time that I have with him right now where he's clearly doing something important with me. I'm reminded of Psalm 23, which does not say, "The Lord is my shepherd, so he keeps me out of the valley of the shadow of death." No, what it says is, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me."